إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له شهادة عبده وابن عبده وابن أمته ومن لا غنى له به طرفة عين عن رحمته وأصلي وأسلم على خير هذه المبعوث رحمة للعباد محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise be to Allah, the King of the world, the Master of the Day of Judgment. I bear witness no one is worthy of worship but Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and greatest messenger, was sent to mankind to bring them out of the darkness of this world to the light of this world and the hereafter. And from the injustices of religions to the justice of Islam, the only way will be accepted from Allah by Allah Azza wa Jal. قال تعالى إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وقال عز وجل ومن يبتغي غير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي المقصرة بتقوى الله وأن نقدم لأنفسنا أعمالا تبيض وجوهنا يوم نلقى الله يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. I remind you and remind myself to fear Allah and to prepare for ourselves and to put forth actions that will brighten our faces the day we meet Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. On a day that no your wealth or your children or your offspring or your power or your authority will not help. Only your deeds will be the currency on that day. عباد الله جاء نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم كما وصف نفسه فقال إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. That indeed I was sent to perfect manners. To perfect manners. And we live in a world today that it seems mannerism, or I should say morality, is very scarce commodity. Very scarce and very unique to find it today with people. Very hard to find people who will stand for principles. Very hard to find people who are willing to compromise and sacrifice everything they have for what they believe. And our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the deen of Islam, not like any other deen, came to emphasize this point. And I will share with you today a story to show one of those morals. And it's very important, whether it's my khutbah or anybody else's khutbah. My brothers and sisters, it's very important to understand that Islam is not this hour you come to the Jummah. I know and I'm sure that a lot of us here, this is the only time they spend in the house of Allah throughout the week. And because of that, it's easy for them to miss, even with that. Ibadallah, unless we get out of this mentality that the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal must be translated into our lives, and it must go beyond rhetoric, beyond just talking. We're sick of that. We've talked so much. The Ummah has been talking for so many years, and nothing has changed. Unless each one of us, and take my words as I'm talking to you directly, I'm talking to you personally. Don't put your head in between your legs and look down or fall asleep or leaning against the wall and you're already tired. Take my word, and you should take and start taking the words of everybody who stands here as he's talking to you personally. Forget that there is anybody else in this masjid except for you. And the words are directed at you. Whatever applies to you, you take. Whatever does not apply to you, you learn. Unless we start thinking this way, nothing will change. Unless we stop putting our heads like ostriches inside the ground and believe that he's not addressing me, he's not talking to me. Oh, what he's saying does not apply to me. We will not move forward. We will not move forward. So with this little story I will share with you, for us to learn from, I want you to take it personally. And I want you to evaluate your life based on that. And maybe it will not directly apply to you, but it will. It will. Ya ikhwa, al-kayyis al-fadl, and the intelligent person is the one who can capitalize on every opportunity. And capitalizing does not necessarily mean grush, money. There's something more precious in this life than anyone. And each one of us is looking for it. And the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal has chosen you to be one of the Muslims and one of the believers, you should be thanking Him subhanahu wa ta'ala day and night. Ibadallah, you're coming today to worship Allah. And tomorrow and after tomorrow there are people who are going to their places of worship to worship a cross, to worship a dead God, to worship a human, to worship rats, to worship the sun, to worship idols and stones they have carved themselves. And Allah chose you to worship Him. That should be enough for you to reflect, to think, to say Alhamdulillah, الذي فضلني على كثير من عباده تفضيلا. To say Alhamdulillah, who gave me preference over a lot of other people. Ibadallah, if you look in the world, most of them are kuffar. The only believers who will count as believers in the sight of Allah, according to Allah and to His Messenger, are the ones who say La ilaha illallah followed by Muhammad Rasulullah. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. And whoever seek a way other than Islam, it will not be accepted from him. This is what Allah says. I don't care what anybody else says. We have Amir al-Mu'mineen, so-called somewhere in the world, who says, I'm Amir al-Mu'mineen, كل المؤمنين مسلمهم ويهوديهم ونصرانيهم. Amir al-Mu'mineen, كل المؤمنين كذب. فالمؤمنون عند الله هم المسلمون. Who believes La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, that is the only iman Allah will accept. And those are the only people who deserve to be called mu'minun, by the book of Allah and by the sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Anyway, this man who was rich, young man, his father was rich, was a jeweler, businessman, heavy duty, jewelry business, wholesale. And his son had a lot of friends around him. And he was very generous with them. And they respected him a lot. So the father dies. And the business go down to the ground. And this young man with his family, after they were rich, suddenly they have nothing. So he started flipping in the old days of the old friends that he was very generous with them. Maybe he can seek some help through them. maybe they can appreciate something of what he did for them. So he started asking and he started looking around until he found out that one of the closest people to him, that when he was rich, he had him so close to him and he was very generous with him, has become very rich and very successful man. So when he found where he stays, or where his palace is or place, he went to visit him. Hopefully he can give me a job or can help me through this. But when he reached the door, and the guards and all these people, Khadam and the servants received him, he explained to him his relationship with their boss. And he asked to see him. So when they went back and they told the old friend who has become rich that so-and-so is in the door, he opened the curtain and he looked at him. Very dirty clothes, very old clothes, very poor man looking man. He told his servants, don't. Tell him, I'm not today in the mood to meet anybody. Tell him, he doesn't want to see you. Now imagine the shock that this man was going through. Imagine the feelings. Imagine how often we do that. We might even do something like that with the closest people to us. And does not necessarily has to do with jewelry or money. And maybe it has to do with mental support. Imagine how many times we are busy with our phones when our little kids come to try to talk to us. And we neglect them and ignore them totally as if they don't exist. I caught myself the other day when my 6-year-old daughter talking to me, I did not even look off the phone, even though I can say what I was doing is important. But I answered her without even looking at her. We all do that. We all fall into that. And I believe this is one of those things that can be similar. And it might be even worse. Because this guy, he found this old friend, maybe he can find someone else. But our daughters will not find another father. And our children will not find another mother. And if they do find, they won't be as sympathetic and as caring for them as much as we should. But he was shocked. And he left very devastated and frustrated. How could people do something like that? I was so good to them. So as he's walking, losing it, thinking out of this world, he come across 3 people. And they looked confused as if they were looking for something. So he asked them, what can I do for you? They said, we're looking for so and so, such and such. And they gave him a name that name was his father's. So he said, that was my father. Rahimahullah. فَحَوْقَدُوا. They said, لَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. He was a nice guy. He was a good man. He said, what you're looking for him for? He said, he entrusted us with some jewelry. And we're looking for him or for his kids or whoever to return the jewelry, the amana to. So they pull out a couple of bags that full of corals, jewels, murjan, very expensive. The gram today is about $1,000. And this is in the past. So they said, this is what we found. Oh, I'm his son. And they passed the bags to him and they moved. They walked away. But he was shocked with that. But then the other predicament that crossed his mind, who's going to buy this? This is very expensive. And I want you to hold on. I'm sure some of you might start thinking, this is science fiction, right? Or science fiction. So hold your horses, wait. But he's talking to himself, who's going to buy this? This town is poor. Who is willing to afford this? Or who can afford this? But he comes across an old woman who looked very rich. And she asked him, do you know where I can buy some jewelry? What is happening here? This is like Hollywood movie, huh? What is happening here? He said, would you buy coral? And he showed her some. She said, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And she bought some from him. And she paid him and she said, I will come back to buy more. And here Allah Azza wa Jal, in a minute, turned this situation from the devastation to become very comfortable.
Sorry, I can't search.
To become very comfortable without even searching anything. Right? So he decided to send a letter to his old friend who turned him down. And he wrote in the letter 2 lines of poetry. Just to remind him. فقال صحبت قوما لئاما لا وفاء لهم يدعون بين الورى بالمكر والحيل كانوا يجلونني إذ كنت رب غنى وحين أفلست عدوني من الجهل. جهل جمع جهل. He said, in the meaning, and poetry is very hard to translate, he said, I accompanied or I befriended people who were not loyal. And when I was rich, they used to respect me. But when I bankrupted, when I turned zero, they started considering me as ignorant, referring to, they won't even want to meet me. فرد عليه صاحبه. So his friend, when he read that, he got a paper and he wrote 3 lines of poetry to send back to him. فقال أما الثلاثة قد وافوك من قبلي. أما الثلاثة قد وافوك من قبلي ولم تكن سببا إلا من الحيل. أما من اشترت المرجان والدتي وأنت أخي ومنتهى أملي وما طردناك من بخل ومن قلل ولكن خشينا عليك وقفة الخجل. لكن عليك خشينا وقفة الخجل. البر لا يبلى والديان لا يموت. He replied to him and he said, after the little insult in the 2 lines, he replied to him and he said, the 3 men that came to you came from me. I sent them. And I know I played a joke with you, or I played a trick with you with this whole issue. And the woman who bought the jewelry from you was my mother. And you are my brother, and actually my favorite. And then he finished the last line, he said, وَمَا طَرَضْنَاكَ مِنْ بُخْلٍ وَمِنْ قَلَلٍ. When we turned you away, when we refused to meet you, we did not do so because we are stingy, or we are cheap, or we didn't want to help you, or we didn't have anything to give you. But I could not accept for you to stand in front of me. I could not accept for you to stand in front of me to ask for something and insult yourself. عباد الله, حسن الظن نعمة من الله عز وجل ورزق. حسن الظن, to think good of others, is a treasure, is a peace of mind. Imagine that everything comes to you, you turn it in a way to give benefit for the others. Imagine any news you hear, you do your best to interpret it in a way to give benefit to others. Even if they talk bad about you, even if they're backbiting you, even if they're saying whatever they want to say about you in their minds to put you down. And you can manage in a way, and this can come with training, you can manage in a way to find an excuse for them, even though you know you're lying to yourself. But sometimes it's good to lie to yourself, not to others. It's good to lie to yourself to have peace of mind. People pay money for that. They go to psychiatrists and psychologists. They pay money for these people just to listen to them and to tell them, no, it was good, no, it's good, no, it's that. I know it's more than that, and they know deep in themselves, this psychologist has no clue about what I'm going through. But they still go and pay to find peace of mind. To find peace of mind. Yeah, I give you an example. Some people, and you know that Masjid al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyya and Revival Academy, down the street, couple streets, in Miami, they bought their buildings about 3 years ago. For $1.1 million. And they had an agreement with the previous owner, that way they're going to pay. So the deadline came, they paid half when they signed the contract, when they closed, and then the other half after 3 years. So the deadline came after 3 years, and they were $100,000 short. So another masjid in town, Masjid al-Iman in Sunrise, approached the brothers in Masjid al-Sunnah, and they said, we have extra money for a project we were going to do, and we changed our minds because we could not, and we want to give you the $100,000 loan. We're going to give you the $100,000 loan. Fadi, which is the guy in front of you, did not take the money for himself. The check that was written was not written to him, even though he was the guarantor. But for some reason, people decide to entertain themselves by saying that he took $100,000 from one masjid to build his masjid, as if the masjid is in my father's name. As if the masjid is built just for me to go pray and nobody else. Anyway, and the masjid was bought, and it's the name of the ummah and the name of the community of the Muslims anyway. And the good news, not too long later, the 100,000 were returned to Masjid al-Iman. Their loan was given back by the grace of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the only reason it was short is because, you know, some people, it takes them some time to fulfill their pledges. And by the grace of Allah, I can tell you, fulfilling pledges in Masjid al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyya is over 95%. People who raise their hands, they will give over 95% come through. But the idea is, ibadallah, the news came to me that some people decided to say, he took money from al-Iman to put in his school or in his masjid. I said, alhamdulillah, those people are so worried about Masjid al-Iman's money. جزاهم الله خيرا. ريحت راسي. And I gave myself peace of mind. Ibadallah, what is the problem if a masjid gives another masjid? There's no legal problems with that. Non-profit giving to a non-profit, there's no problem with that. Let alone Muslims helping Muslims. Let alone in a project that's gonna raise La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, is called 5 times a day in that place. And then we seem to have problem lending each other to build masajid. But I hope it's not a problem in their minds. I hope they're just concerned about the legalities, and they're concerned about how paperwork is and how accounting is. That's it. Peace of mind. For free. أحسن الظن. Allah رب العز. Allah himself telling you, أنا عند حسن ظن عبدي بي. He subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, I will be at the level that you think of me. You're thinking that I will take you out of trouble, I will get you out of trouble. You think I will forgive you, I will forgive you. You think that I will torture you, I might torture you. Think always highly of Allah Azza wa Jal. And whoever can master this ibadah, it will become easy for him to master the ibadah, or to master the issue between him and al-khalq, between him and others. How to give benefit of the doubt so he can, because there are more other important things for us to worry about than just following every word said about us and why he said it, and attack and fight. Move on. لك الأجر وعليهم الوزر. You get the reward. And if they had bad intention, they get Allah will hold them accountable. فعباد Allah, you can see here in this story how husn al-dhan is great. To think good of others all the time. Whatever they do to you, you always think good of them. I understand it's very difficult. And don't think that I'm standing here to tell you that I'm successful in every time I want to think good of other people. Because sometimes what other people do, it's beyond imagination. It's very sickening. But guess what? You have to live with it. You have to live with it. It's the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You cannot work with that husn al-dhan and thinking good of others. Then move to the qadr of Allah. Move to accepting the qadr of Allah. Move to be thankful. Alhamdulillah, I know it's good for me. Because patience is levels, right? The way you deal with the qadr and with what happens to us, levels. You have the level of patience that we all should deal with. Someone died, what can I do about it? I have to be patient. Then there's a higher level, which is a rida. A rida is to be pleased with what happened. Because it's coming from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and you know that it will be good for you. And then there is higher level, which is alhamd. Something bad happens to you, you say alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. But don't say it 2 days later. When you hear it, the real patience is when the calamity hits. And that's why you always prepare yourself for it. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam teaches us, أكثر من ذكر هذه اللذات. Remember in abundance the destroyer of all pleasures. Right? So when it comes to you or to others, you're willing, you're prepared. If someone's son, may Allah protect all your kids, if someone's kid is sick in a hospital for 3 years, and under an artificial ventilation, can't breathe on his own, 3 years, in a coma, he's visiting him every single day. And every day he's expecting to walk one day and they tell him he died. And someone who got a call, so this guy got a call that his son after 3 years died. And someone who got a call that his son was playing out and a car hit him and died. Which one do you think is more prepared? That's when you talk. When in the car. That's prepared. The one who's been expecting for 3 years. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, remember in abundance the destroyer of all pleasures, death. And what's a bigger calamity than death? So you prepare yourself. So when things hit, you say, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I've been waiting for this. Alhamdulillah. That's what Islam came to teach. And that's what we should busy ourselves on and with, instead of wasting our time with other stuff. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ويجعل مستقيم استغفر الله. الحمد